Welcome everybody to the presentation. I'm Trevor. We're talking eBay today, and we're talking specifically the May 1st, 2015 seller update, specifically on fees. Now, there were some other changes that happened in the May update, or that are coming. I know it's not quite May. We're only a couple of weeks out, but that's coming, and you guys need to be aware of those changes because everything does take place May 1st. If you need more information on the seller update, just Google 2015 Spring Seller Update, and you'll see kind of a summary of the update. So there's different things that the update is going to change, and eBay does this every year. They always come out with an update that changes some aspect of how the eBay system works. But they came out with a pretty significant one for how the eBay fees work. So specifically as it relates to insertion fees. So I want to go over those so you guys understand those changes, and that way you can be prepared and you can know what's happening starting May 1st, a couple weeks out, okay? All right, so, and again, for those of you guys who are here live, go ahead and ask questions as they come up. Let me go through some of these changes. Now, let's just establish a couple of things really quick. Let me bring up a little notepad here so I can take some notes while we're talking, and you guys can see those. Hold on, let me delete these out here. Okay, eBay, I'm going to just say eBay fees. Now, most of you guys, especially you who've been working with us for a while, you know about the eBay fees. There's typically a couple of different types, right? Type 1 is called the insertion fee, and then type 2 is called the final value fee, okay? Or the FVF, like that. An insertion fee is a fee that's usually not very much. It's a 30-cent fee usually, right? And it comes when does somebody right now get one of those insertion fees, guys? For those of you guys who are here live. At what point do you get an insertion fee? I'm just going to put 30 cents here, although that can change depending on the issue. An insertion fee happens specifically when you list an item. So I'm just going to say when you create a listing, but as it is right now, it's after you've done a certain number of listings. So eBay to this point has given us around 100 free listings a month, right? So like you could create 100 listings and you wouldn't get charged an insertion fee, but that's only for auction listings. If you're doing fixed price listings, usually you only get around 50 or so. So Kelly, you're exactly right. You just said that. Yeah, so does that make sense? So it's a free number that you get every month, and I'm not even going to really note it here because this is going to change drastically. Used to be 100 free auction style and around 50 free fixed price ones, but that changes on May 1st. So, and then when you go over that, then every single time you create a listing, you get hit with 30 cents. That's what an insertion fee is. Now, the second one, called the final value fee, that's the one where you get hit with 10% fee when it sells. So this only happens, and I'll just put this in bold letters, when an item sells, okay? That's the final value fee. So what's different now? Well, that's what I want to explain to you guys. Let me go over here, and I want to talk to you guys about these specific changes. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can read this with me. See how it says starting May 1st, okay? So let's look at this first one. I'm going to highlight it in blue. It says unlimited insertion fee credits for auction style listings that end in a sale, okay? And it says, as an incentive for using the auction style format successfully, sellers will be credited for the insertion fee on auction style listings when that item sells. So they're basically saying when you list an auction style listing, if you're at the point where it's charging you 30 cents per, well, if it charged you 30 cents and you later sold the item, then they'll refund your 30 cents. So you'll get that back. It doesn't seem like that great of a benefit, right? Well, it could be if you do a lot of listings, but ultimately I don't think it really is. They're trying to create some incentive for sellers to do more auction listings. That's partially the reason why they're doing that. So you sell an item, you get your 30 cents back if it's an auction listing, okay? All right, so let's look below that. So that's a change. That never was the case before. Number 2 here, or the second bullet point, it says listing duration and feature fee updates. So it says now the 10-day duration. And what I mean by duration is the length of your listing. You guys will notice if you've ever created an eBay listing that you can choose different time frames. You can do it for a day, you can do it for 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, 30 days. You can choose how long it's going to show up on eBay. Well, they're saying now the 10-day duration for an auction style listing will no longer have an added feature fee. So in the past, if you would have done an auction and you would have chosen 10 days, you would have been hit with an additional small fee to your listing. They're saying that's not going to happen anymore, okay? They're going to waive that fee, again, because they're trying to create this extra incentive for people to do more auctions as opposed to other types of listings, okay? It says sellers who choose, and this is an interesting change right here, guys. Sellers who choose a 1 or a 3-day auction style listing will be charged $1 special duration feature fee per listing. So that means if I listed 10 items and they all were 3-day auction listings, I would get charged $1 per item as an additional fee. So not wise. In other words, they're trying to discourage people from creating these really short listings, right? I guess eBay has found, and this is what they'll tell you, they found that those are a little less effective. A 3-day auction typically doesn't do as well, which makes sense because it doesn't have as much exposure. So they're actually going to charge you more if you want to create that kind of a format. And typically you guys who are in the program with us, we don't do a lot of like short auction listings, so that shouldn't be a big deal for you. And then in addition, the reserve price feature, which I'm not going to read over much, but it just says the feature fee for reserve pricing will increase as well to the greater of either $3 or 2% of the reserve price. So when you put a reserve on something, when you're doing an auction, guys, that's kind of like you're putting it up for auction, but if it doesn't sell for a certain amount, you don't actually have to sell it for that, if that makes sense. So you have a reserve fee that nobody knows about. So if I start an auction at 99 cents, but secretly I set a reserve on the item and I say, well, if it doesn't bid up to $50, then I'm not going to sell it. They actually charge you for that. So anyway, keep that in mind. That's not something we typically do a lot here. So I'm not going to spend time on the reserve price. Let me look over to questions here. Kelly, it looks like you've got one. You say, will there still be a free auction style listing, or do they all have a listing fee? There is still free listings. There's just not as many. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Good question. Actually, that's kind of what this section is right here. So see the third bullet point right there? Let me zoom in just a touch more so you guys can see this better. It says adjustments to monthly allotment and insertion fees. It says to complement the unlimited insertion fee credits on auction style listings that end in a sale, we're adjusting the monthly allotments of free listings for all sellers. And this is a negative change because whereas before it was 100 free auction style listings per month, it's now 20. So they've cut down significantly on that, and they're claiming that they're cutting down on that because they're giving us the benefit of reimbursing us the 30-cent fee if we make a sale. But I actually don't like this change at all, especially for a lot of you guys who are going to be volume listers. They're basically taking away 80 of your free listings and saying you've got to get charged 30 cents on those. Now, 30 cents is just 30 cents, and if you're closing sales on a regular basis, you're going to be more than paying for that, but at the same time, that definitely hurts us a little bit. So that's the big change here. If you guys don't make any other notes on what we talk about today, after you list that 20th item, your 21st item, no matter what, is going to have a 30-cent fee on it. and your 22nd and your 23rd and so on and so forth. And that can get a little more expensive for you guys that are volume sellers and volume listers. Now there's ways around it, and we'll talk about that for just a second, but that's essentially what's going to happen. So it's not just for auction style listings either, guys. It's for fixed price. You're only going to get 20 of each. So we'll talk about that a little more here in just a second. Okay. And then I'm not going to go over the media category items. It just says all media category items listed in the fixed price format will now have the same insertion fee as the other category listings. That shouldn't affect a lot of you guys. This one's interesting. For sellers with an eBay store subscription, the monthly allotments of free listings will now be dedicated to fixed price listings. And for listings in collectibles and collectibles categories, sellers will receive 100 additional free auction style listings per month. So eBay's trying to say that if you've got like a collectible item that you're listing, something that, you know, it's not your mainstream typical product, it's a collectible, it's an antique or whatever, that you're going to get more free auction style listings in that category. But let me go down to the eBay store thing, because that's really where I want to spend a little bit of time here. This is eBay store's subscription level. Now, in all of this that they're trying to do, I think for people who are selling a fair bit, who are listing a lot, and we've talked about this in the past in some of our videos, if you're doing a certain number of listings per month, then it's always made sense for you to get a eBay store, okay? But it now even makes more sense to get an eBay store even sooner, because now you've only got 20 free listings a month. So they show here, you can see on my screen, it says eBay Stores subscription level. There's 3 stores. There's one called a basic, there's one called a premium, and there's one called an anchor store. On a basic, so this is based on fixed price listings as well as auction style listings. But that's the second one is for collectibles. You get 150 free fixed price listings here under the basic store. You get 500 under premium, and then 2,500 under anchor. So you still get free listings that way. But auction style is, I mean, it doesn't change that much. If you have a store, once you go over your threshold, you're still at 25 cents per listing. 15 cents per listing for a premium, and then an anchor store is 10 cents. So if you have an anchor store, eBay is basically saying you get 2,500 free listings, but those 2,500 are only going to be fixed price listings. And I think that's what this verbiage meant up here. Right here where it says, for sellers with an eBay Stores subscription, the monthly allotments of free listings will now be dedicated to fixed price listings. So if you have an eBay store, these numbers right here, 150, those are only for fixed price. You only get 150 free for fixed price. Any auctions, they're still going to charge you just, I think, like normal, if that makes sense. Let me look back at your questions, guys. Rick, yeah, I guess we're talking about eBay stores right now. Yeah, and once you've got an eBay store, Tammy, you're right. You can upgrade them up or down. So basic, most of you guys will get into a basic store pretty early on. Because if you think about it, like you list 20 items, that 21st one is a 30-cent fee. The 22nd one is a 30-cent fee. Every 3 items, you're paying about $1 extra. Well, a basic store costs you $20 a month. So you don't have to do very many listings without a store to hit $20 of additional fees. A lot of you guys are going to move right over to an eBay store really quickly. It'll make sense. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to pay $20 a month. Well, trust me, like you pay $20 a month and you've got this store, it's going to save you a ton of money as you start selling. No question about it. We'll talk more about the benefits of those here in just a second. Okay. So once you go over your 150 free, so let's look at a basic store specifically. Forget about premium and anchor. You guys won't be there for a little while, probably. Premium and Anchor are a little more expensive. They're for slightly bigger sellers. So a lot of you guys who are just more on a starting level are going to be at the basic store level. So you'll be able to do, for 20 bucks a month, you'll do 150 free inserts or free fixed price listings. On your 151st listing, it's a 20-cent insertion fee. So it's not 30 cents, it's only 20 cents if you own a basic store. Okay? All right, let me look down here. This is the big part. It says sellers without a subscription. So if you don't have an eBay store subscription, will receive 20 free listings per month, which can be used to create auction style or fixed price listings. So you get 20, if you don't have an eBay store right now, you get 20 listings per month, fixed or auction, and you can do with those what you will, but on that 21st, you're going to get charged that fee, okay? Now, eBay is going to spin it, and they're going to be like, well, it's a great change because if you sell that item that you do an auction with, you're going to get your 30 cents reimbursed. And that's true, but for the 6 or 7 other items that you listed for the 7 days or the 10 days or the month that didn't sell, you're not going to get those 30 cents back. That's just eBay's taking that. So, I don't love the change, honestly. I guess eBay is really trying to encourage sellers who sell on any kind of a regular basis to get a store. You're a real casual seller that's like every couple of months they list a couple of things that they want to get rid of. This won't affect them at all because they'll always list for free because they're not listing 20 things a month. But you guys who are running businesses on eBay, a lot of you guys are listing several hundred items a month, right? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And so this does impact you. And if you're listing hundreds of items a month, you definitely need a store. Now, I hope in the end, these insertion fees shouldn't affect your bottom line too much because if you're upselling really well, you've optimized your store well, you're making pretty good money. These little insertion fees are more of kind of a nagging fee than anything else. It's just like, oh, that's a little annoying that I had to pay an extra $18 in insertion fees this month. But if you did, $8,000 in sales, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But when you're just starting and you guys are doing a lot of listings and you're trying to get the hang of it, the insertion fee is going to be more than just a nagging fee. It's going to bother you a little bit. So I would encourage a lot of you guys to consult with your coach, number one, but consider getting one of these basic level stores like we're looking at right here. I would encourage you to get that sooner rather than later. Okay? Yes, it's 20 bucks a month. In fact, I'm going to take you over to a link here. Yeah, this is a little more visual. I know this is probably all a little bit confusing to some of you guys, but this should help just a little bit. And yeah, Kirk, you're right. Like this is all tax deductible stuff, right? You're doing this for the business, so this is tax deductible. You'll take that as a business expense, for sure. All right, so let's look at their visual representation of this a little bit. So under standard fees right here, it says if you list more than 20 items a month, explore eBay stores subscriptions for considerable savings. Okay, like we talked about, and you can sort of come down in this column here. You get 20 free listings. If you're listing in the collectibles section, you get an extra 20 for free. And then as you scroll down here, it says this is your insertion fee after you go over 20. You're at 30 cents for auction or fixed. Okay. Final value fees remain at 10%. Okay. Sell something for 80 bucks, $8 is going to go out the door to eBay. And then if you've listed, if it's your 24th listing of the month, then 30 cents is going out the door to eBay too. But if it's an auction and you sell it as an auction, you're going to get the 30 cents reimbursed. Guys, are you clear on like if you don't have a store then, what the fees are like? Does that make sense? because I want to make sure you guys are all clear on the standard fees before we go on to the stores. The important thing is you get 20 free a month. After that, you're getting hit with an insertion fee. That's as long as you understand that, we're good. And then you've got your 10% final value fee. After all, guys, the final value fee is the one that you really feel, because if you sell something for $300, your $30 is coming off to final value fee. This is the one that really affects you most, but these little insertion fees are going to become a little more substantial now that we don't get quite as many free ones. Like I was saying before this change, it wouldn't have been 20, it would have been around 100 listings, right, that you would have been able to do. So that's what's changed here. All right, so let's look over at eBay stores then. You've got your basic, your premium, and your anchor. Your basic, I was saying it's 20 bucks a month. Well, that's if you just pay it monthly. And I'd probably start that way. You can do it for 16 bucks a month if you pay it all up front. But, you know, I know for a lot of you guys, you're running your business on a budget, finances are tight. So if you want to just do the $20 a month one, that's completely understandable. You can see it jumps up in price considerably for the others. A premium store is 60 bucks a month, and then an anchor store is 200 bucks a month. But those are for bigger, higher volume sellers, and that'll make sense hopefully for all of you guys at some point. I'd love if all of you guys were signed up as a premium store, because if you're at a premium store, you're obviously doing a lot in sales to justify that extra, okay? And yeah, Rick, you can upgrade whenever you want, definitely. Here's the big benefits of having your store, right? So let's say you sign up for your basic store, it's 20 bucks a month. Well, you get 150 free listings. Now that's fixed price. I understand that, and you know I like fixed price for a lot of the stuff we do. But that's 130 more than you had before. If you take 130 listings and multiply all those by 30 cents, it would be $39. So if you did 150 listings without a store, it would cost you $39. With a store, it costs you $20. So you're already saving money there. Then, this is an added benefit. As you list your 151st item and you go over that threshold, you only pay 20 cents for fixed and 25 cents for auction. So you're saving about 10 cents or even just 5 cents depending on your format, okay? This is one of the bigger benefits of a store below here. This shows you your final value fees, okay? Now, if you don't have a store, your final value fee is 10%. If you do have a store, it depends on the category. So everything is at least 9%. So you're going to save a full percentage point on everything you do. And then it lowers from there. It goes to 8% if you do something in eBay Motors, like you know, car parts, motorcycle parts, that kind of stuff. If you do something in music, it's 7%. If you do something in coins or cameras, stamps, it's 6%. 4% for some of these things, video game consoles, heavy equipment, that type of stuff. So it's really low. So if you sell in a niche where you're doing a lot of, say, music, equipment and gear, that kind of stuff, every time you sell something for $100, if you didn't have your store, $10 would go to eBay. But if you did have your store, only $7 would go to eBay because you're only doing a 7% final value fee. So that's significant, and it's significant because if you do well enough on eBay and you're doing, say, let's say you're doing like $4,500 a month in sales, right? Okay, which we'd like to see you do much better than that. Well, but let's just say you're doing $4,500 a month, so $4,000 or 4.5. So let's take that, let's multiply that by the normal 10%. You're spending $450 a month in eBay fees for final value fees, right? Assuming 10%. Well, the same number, 4,500, we multiply that by even just 9%. That's only $405. You're saving $45 a month in eBay fees if you just have an eBay store. And the whole eBay store cost is only 20 bucks a month. So you can see it makes sense As you start to sell a little more, you're definitely going to want a store. And even if you're just listing quite a few, for the reasons we stated earlier about these 150 free fixed price listings, that's going to be better for you as well. At what point should you upgrade to a premium or one of the more expensive ones here, premium or anchor? It might be a while. I mean, that's where you're doing thousands and thousands of listings a month. That's a good problem to have. We hope some of you guys get there. If you're doing that many listings a month, you'd probably be hiring people and people would be doing some of your listings for you. Most of you guys who want to start a business online using eBay, you can usually get away with running everything by yourself, keeping a basic level store, paying out that 20 bucks a month, and doing just fine. So if you're newer to eBay and you're watching this, you don't have to sign up for a store today. You know, just start. If you're just practicing, go ahead and practice. You've got 20 free listings to practice with. But if you're doing any more than that, and a lot of you guys will be shortly after starting this, your best bet is just to get your subscription. Go ahead and get a basic level store and start. You're going to be glad you did because you're going to save more money. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Let me look down to your questions real quick. Do you guys have any questions about how the stores work or how the eBay store subscriptions work? Yeah, Brenda, I don't think there are exclusions, right? So like the way it is right now, if you're listing as a fixed price and it's let's say it's your first listing of the month and you do a fixed price listing and it's in a certain category, you're going to get hit with 30 cents right on the spot, right? That doesn't happen anymore. From what I understand, there's no exclusions. You just list in whatever category and it's going to be free at the start here. 20 a month for free, if that makes sense. Good question, Tammy. So you say, when I sign up for an eBay store, do I need to have a unique name or a main website to go along with it? Not at all. Not at all. If anything, it's just, I mean, you actually get a nice little store, and it's almost like you get your own little eBay website. So there's some other features that I haven't really talked about today. We're mainly just looking at this may change in terms of prices and fees, but there's some other added bonuses to having an eBay store. But you don't have to have a website first. You can start with an eBay store. You'll give it a name, but it doesn't have to be anything way unique. Because when you're selling on eBay, for most of us, we're not focusing in on a niche quite as much, especially you guys who are starting. You're listing a whole wide variety of things. So you don't need some special name or whatever, not at all. We'll do more on stores, knowing that a good percentage of our clients are going to be on the store subscription. We're going to be doing a lot more of our content curriculum on stores. It shouldn't change your general overall strategy. I mean, you're still listing like normal. You're using retailers. You're using drop shippers. You're doing the same thing that you always have been. There's just some added little nuances if you have a store. Rick, on your account, you can log into your eBay account. Rick says, how do you find out how many listings you've done for the month? On your account, it'll actually show you. If you log into My eBay and you click on the all selling or the active section, it'll show you some statistics about how much you're doing during the month and how much left you have on your limits. That's where you see a lot of that information. Yep, none of this requires any sort of licensing or an LLC. You can start your eBay store without that stuff, Tammy. Yeah. Yep, none of that's required for sure. Yeah, Kirk, that's a good point. I didn't say that either. So every once in a while, eBay will run a promotion. And when's the last one they did, Kirk? You seem to take pretty good advantage of those. I feel like they usually do at least a couple a month. They'll run a promotion where they'll say, hey, over the next 3 days or over the weekend, you can list as many items as you want for free. It doesn't cost you anything. as in insertion fees. It'll always cost you a final value fee if you sell it, but sometimes they run these promotions like that where you can just kind of sell as many items as you want, or you can list as many items as you want during a certain period of time, and it won't cost you any insertion fees. Yeah, I can't even remember. I mean, it depends on the time of year. I think they ran one for Easter, or gearing up for Easter. Sometimes when a big holiday is coming, they're like they loosen their policy and they run a promotion just so that all the sellers that are out there in the world hustle to get a lot of stuff onto eBay. That's definitely one reason why they do it. So, all right, well, I'm going to leave it open to questions for just a minute. This is really it. This is kind of what I wanted to share with you guys. There is a stores section that I'm going to send you guys right now. It's pages.ebay.com/sellerinformation/stores/start.html. It's what I'm looking at right now. And it talks to you about why get a store and the perks of getting a store, how to actually get started. You can click Get Started right here, and you can set up your subscription. Of course, your coach can help you with that as well. It goes into all the details of how much they cost. It's got some training on how to use them. Again, like I said, like it doesn't have to be that much different from what you're doing right now. Doesn't really make a difference at all. Oh yeah, I don't mind doing that, LJ. Here's an example of a store. You want to see one? You've had your store for a little while, haven't you, LJ? Here you go. So it's almost like you get your own little web page like this. So you'll notice it's got a username. You can put in like a little logo at the top. You can put some featured items right here. This is like her website on eBay, if that makes sense. And then you can actually categorize out here to the left, and then it's got all your listings right here in the middle. Okay, that's kind of how that works. I won't give away your listings, LJ. I don't want to create any competition for you, but that's how a store looks. Thanks for letting me share that. Yeah, Rick, that's pretty. You told me that. Rick got a 2-month promo of some sort where you didn't have to pay anything for a couple months, right? Did you just get something in your email about that from eBay trying to encourage it? Oh no, you talked to him. Oh, that's a good tip then, for sure. I would, yeah. Call them up and see if you can work yourself a deal. They're probably a little more apt to run some promotions on the stores to get a couple of free months right now because of the big transition. I mean, they're going to have tons and tons, thousands and thousands of sellers, just like you guys, who otherwise may not have gotten a store, are now going to be moving in and getting one. So it's a good idea, Rick. Maybe have you guys talk to him on the phone. I gave you guys the phone number earlier, so you can call them and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody about setting up an eBay store and some of my options there, and maybe you can work yourself out a little deal. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal, right? It's $20 a month, but when you're starting a business online, you try to keep your costs down, and so that's why we're sensitive to it. Felicia, you say if you're just starting out, what if your listings have nothing to do with one another? Will they look ridiculous grouped together in a store? No, not at all. Because still, the vast majority, 99.9% of your buyers aren't going to find you through your store initially. They're going to find your listings through just doing a normal search, right? They're going to go to ebay.com. They're going to search for, a Hamilton blender, and they're going to look for it. Your store is not going to come up. Your listings are just going to come up. So that won't look ridiculous at all. Not at all. Like I said before, even if you don't utilize it for the store page that you get, which is kind of a little fringe benefit, if you're just using it just so you can get a reduction in your fees, it's still worth it for sure. So that won't be silly at all. Okay, good. Good, good. Well, let's finish up here then, guys. I've given you the links to this stuff. If you want to study up on it, you can. I'll send this link out as well. I don't think I did, so sorry if I did. I'll just send it out one more time. This is that visual graph that I showed you guys earlier. I feel like this explains it better than anything. So if you want to look through this, that's great. And then in subsequent webinars, we'll follow up on some things you can do with your store and how to edit it and change it up a little bit once you get it. I'd say just consult with your coach first before you end up getting one. That would be my advice. If you're just barely starting, they may tell you to hold off until you get just a little bit of experience, and then you'll get one. Either way, it's going to be worth it. You'll save a bunch of money if you do it. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and finish up, guys. I'll leave it open for just another minute for questions. Otherwise, I'm going to turn off the recording. For those of you guys who are watching this recorded, thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time.